Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating. We're going to impartially analyze a totally dense, highly repetitive affirmation track. And this isn't just your standard "I hope I have a good day" recording. No, this is a meticulously crafted script designed specifically to be paired with 12 Hz binaural alpha waves. It's literally aiming to bypass the conscious mind and speak directly to your subconscious. Just listen to how this begins. I manifest my supreme self, my best self, my highest potentiality. Boom! Right out of the gate, it absolutely commands your attention. It establishes this grandiose, cyclical rhythm that repeats and builds upon itself over and over again. It's meant to be a completely immersive experience.
Okay, let's dive into this. To make sense of what is essentially a continuous, hypnotic loop of audio, we've organized it into a structured, thematic deconstruction. So, we'll quickly cover 1. Manifesting your highest self, 2. The power of I am, 3. Attracting wealth and success, 4. Aligning with one energy, and 5. The language of excellence.
So, moving right into part 1, manifesting your highest self. Here, we're focusing on how the text really tries to define and actively build the listener's internal character and mindset. If you're just listening casually, you might honestly just hear a wall of positive words, but buried within that intense repetition is actually a very distinct manifestation process. First, nurture thoughts of greatness, building that internal engine. Second, radiate excellence outward. And third, shape destiny with purpose. It's a clear, calculated progression from internal thought to ultimately shaping your fate. Look at this quote right from the source material. Inside and outside, I demonstrate excellence, dignity, nobleness of character, greatness. Notice how explicitly it bridges the gap between your internal mindset and your external behaviors. It's not just asking you to, feel good. It's demanding these really high virtues like dignity and nobleness.
Which brings us to part 2, the power of I am. This phrase is basically the primary structural tool driving the entire track.
Let me just rapidly read through this list so you can kind of feel the intended effect. I am outstanding. I am excellent. I am infinite. I am a champion. I am a visionary. I am truly great. I am the foremost and the finest. When you hear this spoken fast, again and again, it simulates a deliberate positive psychological overwhelm. It floods your auditory channels so completely, there's just no room left for negative self-talk.
This sheer repetition creates an unstoppable loop. Now, looking at this impartially, what's really fascinating is that the text makes absolutely no attempt to build a logical argument. It doesn't list out your past achievements. Instead, it uses this cyclical loop to essentially brute force, to literally overwrite self-doubt purely through sheer volume. Moving on to part 3, attracting wealth and success. With that internal foundation locked in, the source material pivots to how these internal states supposedly manifest externally into the physical material world. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct comparison. Side A is internal thought. I nurture thoughts of greatness. Side B is external reality. My wealth is increasing. Everything I touch is gold. The script draws a completely literal cause and effect relationship between thinking great thoughts and actually accumulating tangible wealth. And it goes even further. I am a magnet for abundance, wealth, outstanding opportunity. I really want to emphasize that word magnet. It perfectly illustrates the text's philosophy of passively attracting success. The idea is that by simply vibrating at this internal frequency of excellence, wealth, and opportunity just rush towards you, rather than you having to actively labor for it. Which, let's be real, certainly beats working overtime.
This leads us right into part 4, aligning with one energy. Here, we shift away from simple material wealth and venture into some seriously bold, cosmic, and spiritual claims.
So the crucial point is how these elements all interlock across this table. We have personal power, like the supreme self, and nobleness of character. That directly links to material wealth, like attracting success and abundance. But then it crosses right over into spiritual energy, claiming a flow state and alignment with one energy. The audio blends standard self-help, financial manifestation, and deep spiritual alignment all into one giant interconnected framework.
Let's look at how far it pushes this idea. I transcend, omnipresent, in the true magnificence of my spirit. The script is no longer just trying to make you a confident human being. It's actively elevating the listener into a transcendent, boundless, almost godlike entity.
Take a look at the definition of omnipresent. Widely or constantly encountered, present everywhere at the same time. That is a highly deliberate word choice. The audio is attempting to completely stretch your perception, way beyond your own physical mortal limits. It's asking you to view yourself on a literal cosmic scale.
And that elevated thinking relies entirely on Part 5, the language of excellence. The impact of this source material depends heavily on the specific, elevated vocabulary that really sets it apart from your everyday affirmations.
And this brilliantly illustrates the point. My greatness is efflorescent. Efflorescent infinite thoughts. See how aggressively it avoids mundane language? It opts instead for these grand, deeply poetic phrases that make the simple act of listening feel like a major philosophical event.
If we unpack the word efflorescent, it means unfolding and blossoming, reaching an optimum stage of development. Instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm getting better," the text uses efflorescent to paint this vivid, almost biological picture of greatness naturally blooming right from your core.
Here's another incredibly striking example. I consecrate myself to my highest self. The word consecrate carries immense weight. It frames the whole journey of personal development as a deeply sacred, unbreakable commitment. By definition, to consecrate means to make or declare sacred, dedicate formally to a religious or divine purpose. Impartially speaking, the audio uses this sacred vocabulary to intentionally bypass our normal logical filters. It elevates self-improvement to a divine duty, instilling this profound sense of unstoppable purpose. So, a meticulously structured architecture of absolute greatness. Pulling it all together, we can see this isn't just a random assortment of happy thoughts thrown over some nice music. By deconstructing this loop, it's clear it's a highly calculated linguistic tool, engineered to simultaneously reshape your internal mindset, your external reality, and your spiritual connection to the universe.
Which leaves us with something really fascinating to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Does repeating a narrative of absolute greatness fundamentally rewrite our reality? Or does it simply rewrite our perception of it? It's a powerful distinction. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the mechanics of spoken word manifestation. And I hope this leaves you with a renewed curiosity about the immense power of the words we tell ourselves every single day.